This is episode 193. I punch my mind in the face.
I'm looking at GIFs. I'm not paying attention to what you're doing at all. Hope you live somewhere. It's the tone control.
Coming at you where you live or don't. Poof.
This time it worked pretty well.
Well, yeah, honestly. We I had really, it's so funny. I did a bunch of work on the setup and it really is, I think it's good. I think we've hit on something that's going to work well. It's easier for me to manage and it seems to be easier for my computer to manage. And in my head, I was thinking, I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just going to do a regular.
I'm having some pretty severe deja vu.
Well, yeah. I wasn't going to say, anyway, you brought it. So, okay. Anyway, welcome to the, you know what? Welcome to the tone control. This is what we do.
Yeah, we spend 15 minutes talking about how the system never works. Then we just make it happen anyway. And then we talk about some guitars.
Yeah.
I'm coming in hot. I'm pretty frazzled right now. I just came home from doing stuff out in the world. I've had a really insane week. Work has been bonkers, but like good bonkers. Mm-hmm. And just inhaled some dinner and flew upstairs to start this godforsaken podcast. And I'm just feeling, this thing happens to me. It happened to me earlier today, actually, when everything sort of happens at once and you get really flustered and you're rushing a bunch of stuff and then you can chill. But my brain or my body is not ready to chill yet. So it's still things are happening. Yeah. But there's nothing, we're good. It's fine. So
all seems to be fine. Thriving on your energy. Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's going to be good. There's stuff to talk about. I have a pedal there. I'm out there. I have a new t-shirt. Check my t-shirt.
Is it beer? Yeah.
Oh, wait, which way is my camera?
Awesome.
This is from our trip several weeks ago now to the mountains, and walking around that town, there was a shop that just thinks up and prints t-shirts or whatever. I guess that's their game. Cool little shop. So I went in there and browsed around, and obviously it was oh, I found you. This is the one. This is the
Love
one
it.
for me. So anyway, yeah, beer. And the story goes, I picked this up and I showed it to Marielle, and I was like, "This is it. I found it." And she was like, but I could tell she didn't get it, and it took her at least 3 full minutes.
Great.
Before she put it together. So
yes, it's the classic bear with antlers.
It's a bear with antlers. It says beer. Yeah. For the right, because I showed it to the camera. Yeah. Well, because we're YouTubers now, which I think is great. I have thought I like doing the show better this way. It actually makes post-production easier because I'm just doing it all on the fly, because who cares? But even though we don't have a big following on YouTube, it's accessible in such a different way. And I think they were even talking about it in Discord. Discord is really immediate communication with us and interaction and stuff like that. But YouTube is without people having to go to Discord. People comment on YouTube videos in much a different way than they ever do with podcasts.
Right. Commenting on YouTube videos is part of YouTube. It's part of the platform. It's why you go there in some capacity. So yeah, I mean, Discord is more come to the inner sanctum.
All right. Come to the inner sanctum. Jesus. All right. Is there any more tales from the crypt here? I don't know why I said that, but is there?
Jeez, dude,
is there any more?
So I guess
what other news have we?
The other news that I want to mention is that the next episode, 194, is going to be different in some way. I couldn't tell you how yet, but because
did you forget what you were saying, or are we just making this up right now?
No, because for the uninitiated, like Justin and I live hundreds of miles away from each other, but we're going to be friend-cationing together, and we're meeting in the middle of our respective homes, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're meeting between our respective homes, not in the middle of them.
It puts the T in subtle. Yes, a correct analysis, Justin. So, but the next time, like, we're going to be away on vacation during record week, so we got to figure out a fun thing to do maybe for that. So
we're imagining that the internet is going to be fine, and we might just set up something in the room.
Hadn't thought of that. Good point. Okay.
I think it might just be. I think we might just do it almost normal, except we're both going to be on one camera or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can bring a computer or an iPad or something and do the separate camera thing. We can sit across from each other, maybe. Also, our wives will be present.
Yep.
So maybe it's the wife control. I don't know.
Yeah, we mentioned the wife control to them. Marielle is pretty convinced that she never wants to do a podcast for more than like 5 minutes. So we'll see. Okay. We'll see how long we can get her. I know you guys loved the wife control. Boy, the gifts are just outstanding tonight. Well done.
You know what it is? We've got a new patron in the chat.
Yeah.
And he's really just bringing the energy. Everybody's hyped, like, let's just get the gift game going.
Right on.
What did he say before we got started? I can't wait to experience the buttoning or something like that.
Yeah.
Something
Imagine if you'd only heard the buttoning and you'd never seen it, Boy.
This guy's about to experience the butts for the first time.
What a juicy mystery.
You can only experience the butts for the first time once.
Okay. Let's are we good to move on?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's play our first guessing game. Okay, so it's a bass pedal. This is one of mine, I'll tell you right now.
No idea. None. Okay. No idea.
So
some kind of, is it a dark glass? I'm just going to throw it out there.
It's a dark glass, yeah.
All right, let me keep going. Wait.
I thought you, I'm sorry, I blew it. Okay. Anyway, first up, why am I looking at YouTube comments?
Yeah, so like Justin said, we're YouTubers now, which as a platform is just so different than podcasts.
I just realized I just have the rest of my feed on here. I hope there isn't anything embarrassing in there.
It's all tone control stuff.
It's like computer nerd crap and tone control stuff and some space.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So because like YouTube just works and feels differently than so many, like podcasts for me still occupy such a space of my headphones are in my car. It's something like that. It's not, I don't go to YouTube to listen to or watch podcasts, but that's the thing that people do. Mm-hmm. And we're getting a little more interaction at a different level over there, which is really fascinating to me. And the most recent episode had more comments than any video we've posted so far, which is awesome and very gratifying and rewarding for me anyway, because like we just went in with the video thing and here it is kind of working. Right. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So the last episode, 192, we talked about the Discovery analog delay from Suhr, and Kevin Suhr just wrote us a message on YouTube kind of getting into it, explaining some of the design decisions and the cost. And really what we're talking about in the segment on 192 is the cost. So if you're not familiar,
that was sort of our stop point in our conversation last episode. Like obviously it's a powerful delay ecosystem. Yeah. But did he write us such a nice letter?
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, Suhr released an analog delay pedal that is intensely featured. It's got everything you want and could ever need. It's $550, and that's kind of what we were talking about. Like, that's a lot of money for a pedal, no matter what the type. We did some comparisons on price, like it's, $100 more than this or that. It's $50 less than something like the HX Stomp. And my whole point of this is like you kind of get into this dollar amount and you're allowed to look at other gear in a different way, so to speak. Not allowed to, but like you kind of tip into like a different category of equipment after a certain threshold on kind of whatever you're looking at, whether it's guitars. Like if you're looking at $1,000 guitar and then somebody comes at you with a $5,000 guitar and then you're looking at that, well, that's like a majorly different thing. So anyway,
right.
Kevin Suhr here says he enjoyed our chat about the pedal, and I'm not going to read this entire thing because it's a few paragraphs long, but it's in the comments section of 192. So go check it out if you're interested. But he makes a good point that the stuff we were comparing it to, with the exception of the Art Van, is all DSP or digital signal processing based circuits or pedal designs. And the Discovery just isn't that. So it's not really a fair comparison. And I would totally agree. So it did not occur to me when we were talking about it. But
I mean, we did directly talk about that DSP is how other companies are doing this essentially for less.
Yeah.
But that's the crux of it, right? It's this, what he built does cost this much. It's not artificial or something.
Oh, totally.
Like, as he outlines very clearly, like, these are the things, the physical things he's putting in here, and that's why the cost is what it is. Mm-hmm. And so then it becomes like, well, and then I noticed, like, looking at the rest of these comments, like, people ran out and bought this and were excited about it. Like, they said, what's the price? Take my money. And so that's what it was for me, is like, I think his comments and our comments both still stand, right? And I think we're all kind of in violent agreement here that, like, it's, I was going to say, to Kevin also, like, it makes this a luxury item, right? It's like getting that last 5 or 2% or whatever of the tone, like getting that very detail that, if you're the person who has to have that, and then it's a luxury, it's not good enough to do the job. It's not good enough to do the job to 99% of the people out there. We want the 1% person. It has to be good enough for the 1% person. That's the luxury item, and that costs this much to produce.
Yeah, and he points out that, like, it's the cost of doing business to make this pedal. These chips cost that amount. The case costs this much. It's just expensive, and that's just how it is. Perfectly acceptable. I'm down with that. I think I'm really interested in the conversation about this, like, final 2% of tone kind of thing. Yeah. And what do guitar players need versus want? Because those are super different. There's a lot of overlap, but they are different. Mm-hmm. And, like, how you justify that to yourself as the player is a total moving target, and it's really different for everybody. So there's no correct answer here. For me, like I said last time, the Strymon timeline checks all my boxes because I want the presets, I want the variety of delay sounds, and not just analog or not just digital or whatever. Right. It does analog when I want it, and it does it enough. And it's a few bucks cheaper than this thing. And it does what I want it to do. So
it's still extremely powerful and extremely high end. And I think that's why, in some senses, it is a fair comparison, because if you're thinking of, like, the high end of delay systems, it's going to be...
That's kind of what I was trying to say last time.
Right. These two things are in the same category. Now, there's a detail that separates them, and, it's not to say that the cost of one is unjustified. It just might be unjustified for certain people, and clearly it's totally justified for certain other people.
For tons of people.
Yeah, for tons of people who were like, I saw it on this show or heard this discussion about it or on another show or whatever. And just had to have it. Ordered it right there on the spot. So
yeah, this is solving a problem for a lot of people, or not solving a problem, but is a solution in the delay pedal space.
That's very
for
business
so many.
Speak.
You know what I mean, though? Like, for so many players, like, they've been kind of waiting for this. Maybe they didn't know it, but like, this is the thing that everybody has wanted for a long time. So that's perfect for that.
Yeah.
But I
that's
think
exactly what solving a problem in a business sense means too. That's what the
So I think, though, with that final 5 to 1% of tone, in the type of setting that I'm playing in a lot, or not even a lot, but the type of setting that I'm playing in with my band and practice spaces and shows, and like maybe the band next door is practicing too, that 2% gets absorbed into all of those other factors, right? It's such a small variable.
Overwhelmed by the shape of the room, even. Yeah.
Overwhelmed by a different venue, by a different mic on my cab, like that kind of thing. And I don't know. I wouldn't, if I was in a studio environment and really focusing on the specifics of those tones for a recording, then yes, I wouldn't even be having this conversation. But I don't nitpick my tone that much for live because it is so variable. And I personally would not want to like get into the nitty gritty with something like the Discovery, only to go to a show and it's not what I expected or not what I wanted anymore because of rooms and because of mics and because of whatever.
Well, okay. But you know what, to clarify that though, I don't think you would be, no one would be disappointed by the Discovery because they're in a room that sounds right. Because if you're in a room that kind of means you can't tell the difference between the Discovery and something that's 95% as good, then
or DSP,
you're also,
let's say, like
then you're also in a room where you can't tell the difference between the Strymon and a pedal that's 95% as good as the Strymon. So, but it doesn't mean they sound bad. Every other, the other delays would be, you'd be in the same boat. Things are just a little less precise in the listening environment. So it becomes imperceptible in those rooms. It doesn't mean that the sound is bad. It's just the differences become imperceptible. Right. In those last sliver of it. Yeah. So, it's not, so that's the only thing. You said the word disappointment, and I was like, no, you're not going to be disappointed. But
no, I wouldn't be disappointed in the tone. I think I would be disappointed that I had dialed it in so precisely. No, that like I had taken the time maybe to really craft a sound, and then that detail of the craft is lost.
Yeah. So if somebody has a cheaper delay on the other side of the room and you have this one and you can't quite tell the difference in that setting, that would be a disappointing setting for that situation.
No, it's not about like the cost at that point, but I mean like if you're spending the money because it does these certain things really specifically, and you're dialing in tones with that level of specificity with that last 2% of tone idea, and then that kind of gets lost in the wash. Like it sort of just reminds me that that's what I mean by like what's important to the player, right? And what's important to players is different in every setting and in every band and in every environment. So I love this conversation though of like what's important to people and why, especially with guitar stuff, because so much of what makes this whole industry work, and it's why this podcast happens, is because of the stuff that only other guitarists care about.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned like in a studio as an analog to hit my microphone as a like in a comparison to a studio environment where you would be able to focus on that. And that's where we see this kind of thing a lot, where it's like, well, here's a clone of expensive item and here's expensive item. Now let's dial in like, we can tell the difference. Now blind ourselves from which is which and do a mix with either or do a recording with either. And is one really better than the other? Most of the time you end up with like, if you sample people, they pick them 50-50. It's like a coin toss, who's going to prefer what. But that's the audience, that's not the player. And so somebody might still, even if you're not blinded to it, like I know this is a real Discovery pedal. This isn't an emulation of the Bucket Brigade. That idea might be inspiring enough that you actually do your music better. That's not useless. Right.
And this conversation has been going on since the advent of any sort of cloning technology, whether it be Pod Farm or Helix or Kemper or anything like that. Everyone's been like, well, can you hear the difference? Well, we can hear a difference.
Yeah. Copying a circuit with cheaper parts.
Yeah.
You can get kind of close most of the time, and it's like.
Right. So like, I forget what we were talking about in the chat like a week or two ago, but it is effectively the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So like you got to weigh all the other factors of convenience. Like with something, again, with like Helix, right? It is, you throw it in a backpack, you plug it in and you're done. That's a major convenience thing. It sounds effective.
Of the whole multi-effects scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's effectively the same. And we're talking about a small amount of tone loss. If you want to look at it that way, that's fine.
Or just preference to the way you work, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So it's those, I keep kind of circling around this thing, but like what matters to players? And the thing is, the Discovery, like I said, would have an amazing time in my house. I would have so much fun with it. However, I can't justifiably purchase it for all the things that we've kind of mentioned. And because when I'm playing in my band in a storage unit made of stone, I'm not really concerned with the specificity of my delay tone. You know what I mean? Right?
Sorry, I don't know why that was so funny.
We're playing in the basement of a self-storage unit in the old mill yard here, and it's like literally stone walls, and it's a harsh sounding place. So I'm not like, it is not an environment to be concerned with such things. We're there to practice. We're there to write songs. You're not really thinking about the gear as much in that kind of environment. So anyway, this is all to say, Kevin's response was very thorough and very well thought out and like passionate. And I like that he bothered to explain the differences between the Discovery and things like Art Van or things like Nemesis and kind of draw some parallels. And it's such an interesting conversation because it's the cost, like I said, it's the cost of doing business to make the Discovery, but it's not the cost of business to make a delay pedal.
Right. But that's why his is this way. Yeah. And it's not just any delay, right? And so and that's why our previous conversation is still valid, right? Like if you're saying I need a delay pedal, well, here's what you got to know about this one. Right. You know, like, and this might be the one for you, but boy, if this is your first time out, I suggest
get a DD3,
around, you know?
And like Eric who's not here tonight, but Eric just bought, a friend and patron of the show, got a Boss DD3 for like $80, and it's like, it's a digital delay. It does one thing really well and that's it. And that's fine. And you sort of, it's the reason the Telecaster is still so fucking popular, because it's just a simple thing. It's just, it does the thing. It does one job and it's unchanged. And it's this like higher order thinking problem of like guitar gear and why we like what we like. But, anyway, go read the comment. It's very well articulated. And I really appreciate Kevin chiming in because I didn't know a lot of this. Yeah. I'm glad I do now.
Well, it's a massive detail that doesn't play very well in advertisement copy. Yeah. Right. But like, woo. And to hear it from so we super appreciate you, Kevin, telling us about this, and Derek replied to him earlier, and some other people. There's some other comments and stuff. Anyway, come by the video, read what's in the pedal, because if you're into this level of delay pedal, then this matters. Oh, and dude, send him a reply saying, "Hey, thanks for posting this because it helped me out." Because
if you're in the analog delay game, look no further. Like obviously this is a top tier thing and no one's debating that. And I just want to make it clear that I don't think the pedal is overpriced. That's not the point.
From that like button.
I do not think the Discovery is overpriced, but that's an important distinction from costly. Right?
Yeah.
So
you re-listened to our segment. Did we say it was overpriced?
No.
Okay.
But I don't want it to come off that way.
I worried we might have.
No, but we did say, like, guys, this is expensive.
It's a lot of money.
And so whatever that means to you, really take that to heart, I think. So that's my whole point. If you're like, this is the pedal I need because it checks all these boxes and I want it and whatever, then fuck yeah, man, get it. It's going to be so fun. However, if you're like, well, I just want a delay for a little bit of backing thing and it doesn't matter to me how it sounds, then, well...
You can
get a DD3.
Yeah.
So overpriced does not equal expensive, does not equal costly, I think also. So just little things. Anyway. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. All right. Let's go on, right? Let's do it. All right. Next thing up. Okay.
That sounds like a Justin demo. I've never played that in my life.
Probably was.
Is it a chorus
ideas?
pedal?
This is a pretty old one. I honestly don't know. I should look it up. Let's see.
Is it Red Witch? No, I did.
It's not Red Witch. It's a boost pedal. It was a boost pedal. Apparently, I was playing a boost pedal. It's the Prism from Jackson.
Oh, wow! Jackson Audio Prism. I remember that pedal.
$259.95 at Guitar Center. Yeah. So it's a boost. Turns out I didn't even look it up when I picked that sound out. I just try to get something that I haven't played in a number of episodes.
Yeah. Holy crap!
Dig them out.
Jackson Audio used to make amps, and now they make pedals and stuff, and they do some cool things. But it's got like a bunch of EQ things. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, we're on to this now. New from EVH 5150 Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin, talk to me about the 5150.
All right. The 5150 is a guitar amp. Okay. And it's iconic. Okay. So
I mean, to talk to me about like the legacy of the 5150.
Well, the 5150 is this is I get this mixed up with something else. Is this the Van Halen one?
Yes. Are you confusing it with the 6505?
Yes.
Same amp.
Same amp. Okay, so I'm getting it confused on purpose.
So what happened was, as far as I understand it, the 5150 was made by PV, right? Eventually,
it was like a marketing problem, right?
Yeah,
it was
so
like a license.
A contract ended, something like that. EVH himself went to Fender, taking the 5150 name in, I believe, 2005, and PV for some anniversary kept the circuit and rebranded it the 6505 for like they got started in 1965. It's the 05 anniversary.
Okay. They made it their own thing.
They made it their own thing. And since then, of course, the circuits have diverged, right? The 6505, there's all this shootout stuff, 6505 plus 5153, like those
iterations.
They're different amps now. Yeah. However, 6505 early ones, I think everyone kind of agrees. I don't know a ton about this, but they're 5150s. EVH is now its own brand, which is part of Fender. So Fender is now making through EVH the 5150 Iconic, and I think it kind of
original engineer James Brown,
right? So from PV, the 5150, the original, is like it's the one. You know, it is the high gain amp. So
I see plenty of metal people will say that about 6505 as well.
Yeah, but same amp, arguably.
Same amp. Yeah.
Right. So
right. Well, okay. So I would not expect them to sound radically different from each other. But here we have new wallet-friendly EVH 5150 Iconic amp range. So Iconic is the new thing, right? That wasn't just a joke I made?
It's both.
Why not both?
So it's an affordable version of the original 5150 circuit. Doug is getting in here telling us we're super wrong about the 6505. I mean, so this is the thing. Like they're not. I'm not saying they're exact clones because obviously they are different. But it's when you get into the minutia of amp versions, you know,
not super
I'm mostly
wrong,
giving him a hard time, but yeah. So anyway, these new EVH amps, they're saving some money by using things like MDF and plywood blends instead of Baltic birch cabinets. Excuse me.
How can that save that much money over the cost of a big amp like this? And this is an 80
really
watt
sure. Head. Yeah. Not really sure.
I guess it's combos as well.
Okay, let's go back. You can get it in a 1x12 combo that's 40 watts, or you can get it in an 80 watt head. There's also a 4x12 cab. I meant to look this up. I didn't yet. The 4x12 cab, obviously the material your head is made out of is irrelevant. So
whether cab might be relevant. Yeah.
The cab is relevant though. And I think even with the combo, it is relevant then. So if they're making the cabs out of MDF and that cab is only $500, like,
can
you expect the cab to be good? I don't know.
So custom designed EVH 12-inch Celestians. Does that mean it's not the same Celestion that would be in the non-iconic range 5150 cab? You know, because they're not, I don't read this right here as a model number. Do you? Like 12-inch Celestion EVH?
Mm-mm. No. So the combo has two JJ 6L6s and two 12AX7s, and the head uses four 6L6s, also JJs, and still JJs. Two 12AX7s. 2 channels on each of these. It's got a built-in noise gate, which is, and a foot switchable 10 dB boost. So 2 channels. Each of those channels has like an overdrive range to it. Mm-hmm. So you can get into on the clean, air quotes, clean channel. You can get into that crunch territory, and then the overdrive channel, the distortion channel, has what they call like a burn switch or something like that, which is just for like scorching leads. So
extra 10 dBs on top. So and then the typical bass, mid, treble, and then
presence, right?
They have resonance and presence. All these
interesting. Okay.
6505s and 5150s always had that. I think they always do. They always do when I see them. There's a gif of a guy lighting his hand on fire. Okay.
Wow.
Anyway.
So the head is $900. The combo is $800, and the cab is $500, like we said earlier. I always find combo versions of amps like this to be really weird. Like they're perfectly fine, but it just does not sit with my brain. Watt? No, well the combo's 40 watts, but I never really think of like quintessential modern metal amp tones coming from a combo. That's all. It's a stupid way to think, but it just kind of looks funny to me.
Well, okay. I mean, it's different to have a half stack and a louder, more powerful amp. It is different. It might not be like you can't use the combo, you can't get a screaming metal tone from a combo, but there are differences. Now, I have recorded some wild metal tones out of a small Mesa combo instead of a half stack. But I don't know. But there are differences. I mean, the triple rectifier sounds different. You know what I mean? Than the smaller versions of the rectifier. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what to say about that exactly.
I just think like it looks a little silly. But it does. It is going to react differently to your playing and to what you're going for. So, not to mention that like cabs are just a whole other realm of this whole thing we do, and the construction of those cabs, the speakers in them. Just look at impulse responses alone, and that you can collect. And how drastically those can change your tone in something like Neural DSP or Helix or whatever.
That's incorporating microphones and stuff too. Like whenever you're dealing with
that's true.
Impulses is kind of different than like from a zoomed out place. Cab for me starts at volume level. Like what am I trying to do with this amp? If I'm half stacking, it's because I want that. Anywhere that's going to be able to use a microphone, I think basically probably that's irrelevant. And now it's like, now what do I want it to actually sound like at any volume? Anyway, that's how I would think about it. I don't know if that's the end of the story, but
it's funny because like back to impulses for just a second.
Yeah.
When you swap cabs in Helix from like a 112 to a 412, the level of course doesn't change.
Right.
So like
you're only hearing the other. You're assuming it's normalized and assuming like the mic position was normalized, right? And it's the same mic. Then that's a pretty good way to get an idea of what the difference is. What do you think about? What do you think you hear when you do that?
When I change the cab, well,
I generally think that 412s because I was about to say usually aren't they always going to be closed back?
Yeah.
Whereas combos can go either way. Like when I think of a combo sound, I'm really thinking about the open back of the speaker, with that kind of like open, looser kind of thing. Whereas a closed back has the maybe I'll say tighter low end response. Like the resonance and stuff is tighter and less floppy seeming to me. Sometimes less bass overall compared to everything. I don't know, but then you're having to compensate for volumes and stuff.
It's so funny because when I think of a 412 in real life, I do think of the sheer volume. Yeah. It's just they're so loud. And they can really kind of set the stage for, just crushing volume. Yeah. Which I think then, for me anyway, and a lot of what I'm up to, I think the 212 is the ideal cab shape and size for those reasons, because it's not as loud, but it's still like it'll get you where you need to go.
It'll still cut your head off if you ask it to.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what I think when I change it, because I would have to normalize it myself amongst the settings, because like the vintage 30 Mesa cab might be mic'd with a 57 stock. And then if you change it to the greenback variant, it might be mic'd with a Royer 121 stock. Right. And you'd have to like go in and tweak that. But we could do such a thing on a foot switch. So we could experiment with that sometime. But I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Anyway, that's all.
Sometime, we should do that. I'd love to hear Line 6's take on the difference where the only thing you're changing is the cab.
Yeah. We could do it now. I've got it all here. I mean,
do we have time?
Not really.
I don't know. Well, how long does it take to tweak those things out?
I'm going to plug all this in when we're going to talk about pedals, so we can maybe touch on it then. Okay. That's all. I just wanted to talk about the 5150. You don't see a lot of news about the 5150 lately, so I thought it was a cool thing to mention. And it is like awfully affordable for an amp in that kind of range. So check it out. The 5150 iconic.
All right. In that case, I think it is time to switch to Pedal Genie. So buckle your seatbelts, nerds. Which one of these is the right one? Okay, here we go.
Pedal Genie is like the Netflix of guitar pedals. Rent any pedal you want for as long as you want for one low monthly price. Shipping is included and there are no late fees or time limits. With over 1,500 pedals to try from nearly 100 different manufacturers, Pedal Genie definitely has the gear you want to try. Subscriptions start with Flex at just $19.95 a month. Try out one pedal at a time for as long as you want. Send it back when you're ready for the next one. For only $39.95 a month, the standard subscription includes shipping, so you could have a different pedal every few days. If one isn't enough for you, Pedal Genie Pro gets you 3 pedals at a time for only $64.95 a month. Shipping included. There's a subscription for everyone, and best of all, your first month is free. If you find the pedal of your dreams, the one you just have to keep, Pedal Genie will offer you a buyout option. Prices vary with the length of your membership and the type of pedal, but you'll definitely get an awesome price for the pedal in your hand. So head to pedalgenie.com to fill up your wish list with pedals, and they'll send out your first pedal ASAP. Pedal Genie, all your pedal wishes granted.
Excellence.
My goodness.
Just, it's a strong night here in the chat, folks. They're still going. Wow.
Oh, I like that with the horn. Yep,
that was wild. Oh my goodness. So Justin, talk to me about the Agular DB 599.
I will talk to you about the Agular DB 599. So I have not plugged this in yet. I just have it sitting right here next to me.
It's like compressor time on the tone control.
It's compressor time. So I figure this won't take me very long. It's a bass pedal, so I dug a bass out.
Cool.
Oh, Lord. And I just need to hook it up and... All right. And then switch over. I think I will turn a bass amp on.
Cool.
Oh, you can already hear it. All right, so we need to turn that off and this
I didn't know Agular made such small pedals. This is cool. I didn't know they did the mini thing.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything like this either. Let's use the bright channel. What's going on? What am I missing?
Some good gifts are still happening here. It's a good time.
All right, I think we need to turn this up.
Loud and clear.
Audible for you guys? All right. All right. All right, let's So we've got two controls. We've got gain and compression. So anyway, so with it off, this is just with the SVT VR amp that's in Apollo. So, 60s bass amp. All right, let's compress. I got to make up so with everything at noon, it feels to me like when I raise the compression level, it just makes it very, very quiet. So I'm sort of like bringing a threshold down, and I got to make up for that with the gain.
I think it's smoothing out.
Yeah, in fact, when I dime them both, it's still quieter than when the pedal's off, even with the gain all the way up. So that's interesting.
So it says here it's tailored around the specific needs of bass players, and it utilizes musically appropriate compression ratios and attack release parameters.
I don't know how much of this is coming across on Discord, but I will tell you what I can feel.
Okay.
Because I'm messing around with like hitting it lightly and hitting it harshly. All right, so we'll click it back on. Now, as usual, you can still hear the difference in it, but the attack stays right there. So I'm using quite a lot of compression, and I'm maxing out the gain on this thing. And that's what I'm getting is, when I hear them saying like musically appropriate, that means probably kind of a slowish attack to let that snap come through. I'm getting that.
Yeah.
It's like a P plosive at the beginning of every note.
Oh yes, I hear what you're saying. So
it's obviously this is going to be much better in post because Discord does strange things.
I do hear it evening things out overall, though. Like it's
yeah, and this is kind of like why I didn't demo the pedal last time, because it was like compressors. I'm basically having to describe to you what you're hearing, but. That's the thing that I can get, and I think it's even more obvious on bass than it might be for guitar tones sometimes, is that sometimes what you're doing with the compressor is you're getting that extra bit of snap. That's almost like the thing that I'm liking best out of this. Like there's a little bit of evening of level, which is good, but what I like about using a compressor on a bass is letting that note attack poke through louder than the rest of the note, because bass has a tendency to get buried, lost in things. It's sitting there, it's the foundation, but to be able to actually hear the notes, it helps a ton. Click it on.
It's interesting to me though that like you've got it totally dimed, and
I do find it interesting that when I actually backed the compression off a little bit because it was making it kind of quiet. But if I dime it, so here's off. We'll just compare. So I'm going to try to play the same way. And I don't know how much Discord for you guys live. I don't know if it's evening out the level, but it's quieter.
I can tell it's quieter. It doesn't seem dramatic, but it is quieter. And it's like it does what compressors do. It just feels a little smoother overall. I'll have to listen to it once we publish. Yeah. But yeah. Okay.
But that attack, that snap of the attack comes through. I think it's what did I hold on, where's my note sheet here? 169.
All right. I mean, that's not crazy.
That's not crazy. It's not crazy cheap.
No. Agular is a premium brand though.
I mean
it's
right. So for me, I would let's see, what would I do with this and why would I need this? I love a bass tone, like I love a simplicity to it, like a Sans amp is kind of all I need for most situations, or some other kind of thing that's doing that, a bit of sculpting and a bit of distortion, really. If I have that, I don't think I need this, but I don't know. together that might be better than just this by itself. So it's interesting. But I'm also not in a position where I'm like outfitting a bass rig, so it's hard for me to issue judgment on that. I think what's really great about this is the simplicity. I do feel like it's quieter than it ought to be, and I wonder,
is there any sort of internal?
Because I'm just using that's just a passive J bass that I'm playing into it.
Well, there's
so
not a lot of
not like
here's
I
a
have.
manual. Here we go. Studio quiet with no artifacts. I mean, it doesn't.
It was. I mean, I could hear a little bit of noise when I had it. In fact, it's still on.
I can't hear that now, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like there's any internal controls or anything like that.
You know what it is? When I bring the guitar close to my computer,
hear that?
It's activating the magnets. So, but without that, let me put it back over here. I mean, it's really subtle, and that's with the controls max. So yeah, it's extremely quiet. That's true. That's a sign, because most compressors are going to be noisy if they're cheap. So good job on that. So yeah, input output staggered so they can get this really small design, this little half width thing going on. Runs on 9-volt DC.
Excellent.
I like it.
So I had the Randy's Revenge, and then I just sent it back. I just wasn't feeling it. It's not that I wasn't feeling the pedal. I just wanted to kind of move on. I had it for like a month and a half between the schedule of the
circumstances. got in the way.
I was just like, I need to get this out of here, because like getting a new pedal will help me kind of restart the tone control machine, so to speak. But I don't have a pedal this week. Sorry about it, guys. But I was like, I'm gonna package it up and send it back, and I just needed to get it out and get something in here before we're away on vacation, and so. That's all. Randy's Revenge is not a bad pedal, obviously, like we kind of touched on that, but I just was not feeling creative with it, so send it back.
No worries. I just realized I have to flip one more switch to switch off of bass mode, and then so thanks to Pedal Genie for being our stalwart supporters, no matter whether we feel like we just had a pedal for too long or whether we just opened up out of the box, and whatever it takes. So thanks. Go there and tell them you heard about it on the tone control. And now now for something completely different.
This is a Justin demo.
I don't think so. Is it?
Pretty sure. Yeah, I feel like that's a U demo.
Right.
Is that is it
you might get this
Mercy seat pedal? Is that what they're No.
Do you want me to give you the brand?
I'm not good at this anymore. I'm good at the weird ones because they're so iconic,
You're good at the weird ones. OE, I wrote. Hold on.
OE.
Origin Effects. Yeah, this is definitely a me demo.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, this was kind of a special one.
I don't know.
Origin Effects. So they this is the revival drive. So this was the one that was like a guitar amp modeling system,
I knew that. Okay.
except in analog on a pedal. It's the $700 2-channel.
Again, friend and patron
thing.
of the show, Eric, but has the Revival Compact, which is the one side of that pedal. And he says it's just the greatest.
Yeah, it was on the edge of me even being able to figure out how to do it. And then I looked for a YouTube video, like I got to figure this out, right? I need to do justice to this. And the YouTube video where experts at demoing pedals tried to figure it out and make the best use of it was like almost 3 hours long. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to leave it to you guys. So what are we maybe doing instead?
So
Derek?
a long time ago,
What on
we
earth
got
is this?
sent from the lovely person, the lovely one person at 37FX sent us the Tombstone Treble Boost to make a video on. And that video is up on the channel, so go check that out. I'm really happy with how it came out. It was kind of my first foray into like really tracking and filming that tracking and doing all of that together. And so the Tombstone is a treble booster from 37FX, Tone Control Hall of Fame here, right? So the Fat Guy Little Coat, the fuzz pedal from 37FX, everyone here loves that thing. And the Tombstone is like the second.
It's a little slut of a pedal.
Man, everybody in the chat has one. It's so good, right? I plugged mine in like last week or something. It still just shreds. Oh man, is it good? Okay, so the Tombstone is a treble booster. It is. You can go watch the video. So we're going to kind of run through all of that quickly. But it's a classic treble boost kind of sound, but it has some added functionality that I think makes it a little more usable than most treble boost style circuits. So in the picture on the site, you can see there's a big volume knob that's just for your boost level. And then there's a little toggle switch that goes between 3 modes. Daisy, if you do, which is in the middle, is classic treble boost mode. Yeah. Lots of high end, sucks the low end way out. And then it's also doubling as a boost, so it's louder and all that. Smoke Wagon is Fat Mode 1, and Street Howitzer is Fat Mode 2. Okay, so both of these fat modes add low end back into the signal while still doing the treble boost thing on top. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
Okay.
And I personally really enjoyed Fat Mode 1, as I mentioned in the demo. This pedal's $135. They're currently sold out, but Doug's working on a new batch, so you can get that going on the website. I think he's got a newsletter or something like that, but follow him on Instagram and you'll get all the info you need. It's in this really sweet, what is this, like a trapezoidal? This is upside down because of my wires on my desk, but like the shape of the pedals.
Yeah, it's a little bit trapezoidal.
Yeah, it's cool. Friend of the show, old friend of ours, Alex of Copper Sound Pedals, Alex Garaldi of Copper Sound Pedals, designed the PCB for this. Yeah, nice. So it's not a conjunction with Copper Sound necessarily, but Alex is doing this, like, I don't know if he's consulting or if he's doing like design work or something like that. I haven't talked to him a ton about it, but he, if you open up the case, it says on the little PCB, which is matched to fit the case. It's trapezoidal too.
That's the details, and it says, right? That's what we come to know.
Down the corner, it's like designed by Alex, and it's just a nice little. The Tone Control family's coming together. So anime, I've got my guitar here. I've got the Helix plugged in, and I thought we would just kind of.
We are quite the matchmakers.
How is it so affordable then? That's a good question. I mean, the Fat Guy Little Coat, I think you can get one for $70. It's absurdly cheap and sounds absurdly good. So whatever Doug is doing over there, like, don't tell him. Like, okay. Oh yeah, I said I would leave my guitar and drop D. Okay, so I've got Helix here because we might do this cab thing later. All right, so my amp today, it says mail order twin. I don't know what that means. I don't know which amp that is. I think it sounds pretty good. But I'm here playing my FMT telly. Just got this going. It's a double humbucker telly thing.
Yep.
Okay, so that's my clean tone, my bypass tone. I'm going to turn this on into Daisy If You Do, which is regular treble boost mode. And the knob, the level knob is just below noon. So it's all highs, it's all there. It's very bright. It just like crushes through, It's
very pronounced. I mean, I sometimes I think about treble boosters as being almost like non-effects, like, and that's obviously wrong.
Yeah, well, it's not an EQ either. It's kind of something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hop into Smoke Wagon. Here we go. up into am I doing this right? Yeah, up into street howitzers, fat mode 2 with all the lows added back in. Chat's saying.
Yeah, it sounds very fuzz on our end, at least.
That's what it sounds like here. I mean, let's change amps. Yeah. Let's just mess around.
I remember feeling it that way about the YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, you did the mix on it, so.
Well, I didn't add fuzz.
Yeah,
if that's
no. But I mean, like, no. So you know what this sounds like from before. All right, I'm hopping into a JTM 45 bright channel.
Vaguely tool-like. That's an interesting comment. Yeah, because like he had tended to have.
There we go. I can hear myself.
Tones that were light on low end, I would describe.
Yeah.
Like you favored cleanness, right? Adam Jones favored precision over thickness necessarily.
Okay, so I'm now into the bright channel of a JTM 45. I boosted the level a little bit, so this might. Okay. Let me just double check my logic that I'm not going to destroy this. And I'm still in street howitzer mode, which is fat mode 2. Juice it up a little.
That wasn't enough.
Juice in the pedal. Down to regular treble boost mode. Yeah, I mean, it's got it all, you know? Here's the bypass again. So you can hear it doing that. It's certainly doing the treble thing. Obviously, it's pulling those lows out. I think the real thing that this pedal does best are those fat modes. I really like having the availability of a boost that it's making you louder, for one thing, for leads, but it's also bringing those highs up so you can really just slice through that mix, no problem. Yeah. But it's not ice picky. It's not harsh. It's still got you can bring in the lows again, those low mids, if you want to just give it a little oomph. And so the demo was really fun because I was like able to pair it with a bunch of other overdrives I have in the house and stuff. One of my most favorite settings was this paired with the EP booster, running into it really hard. Just cool stuff, you know. And Doug was kind enough to also send me his Lollygagger Canalia, so we really have the Hall of Fame going tonight. And that paired with this, it just screams, you know. It's a cool pedal. Mm-hmm. It's a cool pedal.
Awesome.
So that's the Tombstone treble boost. Go check out the video. We meant to throw this on the show a long time ago, and things just got away from us. So apologies if you've been waiting for this. Hey. Apologies to Doug for taking so long. I'm sure he's been wondering. It's more than a one-trick pony, and you know, treble boosters tend to fall in that category a lot.
It's a good trick too.
It's cool. Okay. So before we do suggestions of the week, do you want to like do a quick experiment on this cab thing?
Yeah, how quickly can you throw that together?
I'm going to turn off this impulse response. And then I wish I could like easily share my screen with you, but you'll just have to take my word for it. So I'm going to go.
You could switch Discord to showing your screen and it would take the place of your camera.
Would that be helpful? Do people want to see Helix?
I don't care if you do that or not. I don't know. Do people want to see Helix? Show of hands?
I would. Okay.
All right.
How do I do that?
Do it. So
here we go. Share my screen. I can share just Helix. Here we go. Let's do that. I'm gonna.
Now let's see if it replaces your camera with it.
I'm gonna click go live. We'll see.
It might add another screen to the feed. Oh no, I have to click through to that. Can you? This might work. I maybe shouldn't have said this.
Well, I'll just
because I may have to like draw a little.
No, we'll do it for next time. Okay, so I've got. I'll stay on this JTM 45. Here's what that sounds like with no cab, if anyone's curious.
The sound that could never really exist.
So let's go to cabs. What should I do? Like a 412 with, let's say, greenback 25s. Okay.
And as long as you know you have something that's a 212 with greenback 25s.
Good point. I picked 20. Hang on. 212. Dang. They're not really labeled like that. So I've got two separate vintage 30 cabs, but they're both 412s.
Well, that's a different problem for us to bounce between.
I've got a bunch of 112s, but they're just kind of like, I'd have to look up what the equivalent is. So like the 112 lead 80.
I can look up.
I don't have anything here that says 80.
12.
Look up the 112 Cali 4, like Roman numeral 4.
112.
That'd be a Mesa thing.
4. Yeah, so Mesa Boogie. You want me to tell you what the speaker is?
If you can.
This isn't a good sign. Oh, here.
That's what this sounds like, by the way.
Is it the Mark IV?
It just says 112 Cali
Mark
4 cab. Because there's probably an amp that is the Mark. Yeah, so I do have a Cali Mark IV cabinet. Amp.
Handmade in California. Okay, so this 112 is.
But
come on, Mesa. I'm on their site.
But I'm wondering what Helix based it on, and not necessarily what.
Well, it must have been this, right? Well, this is how else would we find
and what
out?
Helix
So
model?
okay. Oh, you want me to look up?
Maybe.
Okay, 112 Cali 5.
Cali 4.
Helix. 4. Sorry, Helix model.
This might not be a little more complicated than we thought, but maybe. So I've got a 212 with bluebells, which I think would be Celestian Blues, El Nico Blue.
Yeah. But you're not going to find those in a 412.
I've got two 412s that are greenback 20s and then greenback 25s.
Oh, Doug's got all the links.
Oh yeah. What do we got here?
Okay.
Guitar
right,
cabs.
So find Cali 4 lead.
That's the amp.
Well, this doesn't
that's
tell
not
me
the
anything.
cab. This is great. YouTube.
They're not telling me about cabs. Am I? I know. I'm not even. This isn't even on screen. I'm terrible. Should I put my random searching on screen? I don't think I should. These are guitar amps. So where's cabs? Bass amps. Mic amps.
Oh, like the studio.
Interesting. Oh, here we go. Helix cabinet models. Find Cali. The Cali 412.
Cali. I've got. Oh,
Cali
here we go. Cali
Power.
412 V30. Oops, what did I just do?
It doesn't say what speaker it is. It just says it's a 412 Mesa Boogie 4FB V30.
Well, V30 is probably vintage 30.
Vintage 30s.
All right, well, this is not going as well as I'd hoped. Well, here's the J.
I mean, it's it's obviously vintage 30s. The question is is it comparable to a 212 with vintage 30s?
Right.
Okay, let me go to the 212 section.
So this is just for fun. This is the JTM 45 with the 412 vintage 30.
Okay, here's my suggestion, Derek. The 212 Interstate is based on a 212 Dr. Z that has vintage 30s.
Okay, so
so let's run that head to head against, as long as you can get the same mic, then the Cali V30.
Okay, so by default, these two cabs use two different mics. So which I can change. Okay. The 412 is defaulted with a 160 ribbon. It's labeled as, and then the 212 is a 421 dynamic. Okay, so
those are completely different.
So let's change them both to be 421 dynamic, or we could do whatever. We could change them both to a 57. Okay, so So we'll go with the dynamic for now. Let me just compare.
Okay.
So things like mic distance and low cuts and high cuts, should that all be the same? All right. Yeah. So I'll make the mic distance.
And it probably doesn't matter what they are as long
1 inch, 80 hertz. Yeah, the rest is the same. Okay. Great. Okay, so this is the JTM 45 bright channel into the 412 Kali V30. We'll move over to the 212, the same stuff. Let me put this on a foot switch, and then I'll put this one also on the same foot switch. Well, that should toggle the two. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so right now, the one...
Make me guess.
You think this?
Oh, wait. No, I'm changing my mind. The one you ended on there, I think is a 412.
I'm not changing it now. Which one do you think this is?
I think that's the 412.
Switching?
Yeah. And I think the 412 has more...
You are, back to my edit screen, correct.
All right. I think I sort of cheated, though, because I heard when you were setting them up.
Okay.
And I could tell right away that the 412 had
What if
more
we
bottom.
change amps? Like, do you want to go that route and see if you can guess again? Let's change amps.
Okay.
Is this worse?
Are you switching it?
Okay. It's so dramatic.
Okay.
Wow.
I think that one of them had like a really kind of shrill mid-range. Which I think, yeah, I think that's going to be the 212.
This one here.
Well, I don't know. Put it back again. It's different when you're playing single notes than chords.
That's the 212, yes.
All right. Okay, so so that one, it was less about the low end, but there was this sort of like honk that came up out of the 212, whereas the 412 was more flat or something.
Let's do this again. Let's do one more. I'm going to throw a curveball your way.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not like tweaking any other amp settings or anything like that.
And we're still using the same
cabs, but I have just changed the mic, and I want to see how this goes.
Oh.
And I want to see if you can guess the mic, too. Just because.
So one of the cabs has a different mic?
No, they both have the same mic, but that mic is now different. Okay?
Okay.
This, well, just for the fun of it, this amp is the Matchstick Jump, which is a jumped matchless.
So you changed the mic on both
Same cabs, different mic.
So right, but
they're still sharing the same type of mic.
The cab is still the only difference.
Yeah, and we changed amps just for fun. Yeah.
Okay, and you want to know what that? So that mic, it was darker. I think that's probably. I think it's. Yeah, like I'm the top end is much less harsh.
It's a 57.
It's a 57. Okay, not nearly as big a difference as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's funny. So anyway, can you guess which cab is which here?
That's the 412.
Yeah.
The hunkier one's the 212.
Cool, man.
So they definitely have a different sound at least as far as Helix is concerned.
Yeah.
Like assuming these are really good models, then this would be what you'd get if you controlled for the loudness.
Right.
Basically.
Not the most scientific test, of course, but it's pretty fun though.
Yeah. Yeah, and predicated on precision scientific work done by other people that we did not ask them to do and they did not claim to do. So
yes.
I have no idea if they were really concerned with making it so precise that we could do this test, or if they were more concerned with making it sound good, which I kind of think was.
Are they more concerned with it sounding good or being right?
Right, exactly. I know what I would do if I were making music.
Okay. That was fun.
Okay, yeah. So, all right, and I could have played a sound for that, but I didn't. And so, anyway, I'm going to play a sound now.
That's the JHS Unicorn because I accidentally looked at the thing. Yeah, I did. Well, I was like,
oh shit. I was going to say,
I was just sort of like aimlessly highlighting. I was like, oh, there it is. That was stupid. Why did I do that? Yeah. Okay.
All right. So suggestions of the week. It's a good segment. Everybody's talking about it. Has anybody talked about it?
Everybody's talking about it, dude.
Everybody's talking about it. Derek, what do you have
the
for
Pomodoro technique, sometimes called the Pomodoro method. This is a...
If you say Pomodoro method, though, it sounds like something you would do, like either to have a baby or to not have a baby or to birth a baby. Or, you know what I mean? Method, just the whole thing. That word is for that, as far as in my
Pomodoro
brain.
technique. It's a work productivity thing. I don't use it all the time, but the gist of it is when you're...
I love this section on the site, tags. Low commitment, popular, time management, procrastination. Oh shoot, Apple is defining something for me. Okay, here we go. Focus.
People use this at work. I use it for schoolwork specifically when I'm really not into what I'm doing. That's kind of the detail. Because if I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I don't have a hard time focusing on it. But when I do have a hard time focusing, I use the Pomodoro technique, which is you work in short sprints and then you take breaks, like prescriptive scheduled breaks. So the model that works for me is 25 and 5. So 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes of work. And then you do that 4 times. And then you get like a 30-minute break, like a longer form break to really step away. And
well, that fits into like a typical workday.
It does. For my work schedule and the type of work that I'm doing, that model doesn't always apply. So I tend to be a little more flexible with it. But for things like research papers with school, that I'm really not enjoying the work, having that break on the horizon where I'm like, well, I know in 17 minutes I get to look at distortion pedals on the internet. I get this sort of relief. Like I know there's something, like I can just take a minute and look at and read something I want to read, or watch a video demo, watch somebody on YouTube just for a few minutes, and like it takes the edge off the anxiety and the pressure of staying focused, because I don't have to stay focused. I only have to commit to these short bursts, which is much easier. And if I'm really feeling like, oh, I'm frustrated with this assignment or with this task at work, I can look at the clock and say like, 6 more minutes, whatever it is, just power through. Then I win a break, right? I am allowed a break. And do you know what I mean? And
it feels like
a win.
Yeah.
And then when the buzzer rings to get back to work, it's just like, okay, back in it. New break coming soon. And it reframes the thinking of work and like feeling the pressure of work, no matter what the type. So I got an app for it. You can do this with just like your watch if you want, but I got an app called Focus Keeper, and you can set your work time and break times to be whatever you want. So if 25 is too long or too short, you can adjust accordingly to whatever jives with you. Yeah.
Rad.
And it's been really helpful because the last course I was in was not great for me. I really disliked working on it.
Yeah.
So I was really looking for a thing to sort of like, hack, I hate that term, but like hack my brain to work a little bit better, to maintain focus a little bit better. Because it was so easy to just like drift off and, I just, a fleeting thought, like, I wonder what those cost on Reverb these days, and just like head to it and check. And then it's been 15 minutes and I haven't been working, and I should be working. And it makes the whole problem worse,
Yeah.
But leaning into a method like this, which is really just timing, has been really helpful. So that's my recommendation. Yeah. People use it all the time for all kinds of work. I particularly thrive with it on work I don't want to do. So try that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like when I'm thinking about this, there's a lot of my work that this isn't going to be a concern for. Like I really don't have trouble concentrating. There are times when there is some like kind of editing work that is so dull that it doesn't really matter if I'm into the content or not. Like I'm just going to be, or it's just the wrong time of the day. You know what I mean? It's just, I have to keep working on this, but it's like 3 p.m. and I'm slumping, and it's, this would be a perfect time for something like this, where it's like, it's out of my hands. I don't have to go, should I take a break at this, and like,
the thing that's,
I could see that being really helpful. Audiobooks, I'm thinking
right.
of,
The thing that's tough with it though is, if it's working and you are hitting a stride and then your timer dings to take a break, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's guidance on what to do here. I have very quickly wrapped up, like if I'm writing an essay, this is just the most recent example that I use this for school. I would just sort of ramble out the last sentence that I was going with and being like, note to self, basically, continue with this idea. And it's just like quick, even bullet points. And then I can just put it away for 5 minutes and just watch a YouTube video about hand drums or something. Just to like take my mind off the thing I don't want to be focusing on. And like I said, it's the knowing that there's a break coming and I've like kind of earned it is really nice. So
cool. Awesome.
What's yours?
All right. I came up with a real
one. I watched this video
one
earlier today.
Did you watch it?
I watched it a little.
Is it exciting for you?
There's a few moments in it. Why don't you explain what it is?
Okay. So I don't quite remember how I fell into this, but like I said earlier, my YouTube, because I was signed into my own YouTube account, like my random shit that comes up in my feed. I definitely have a type, and it will send me random space stuff, physics stuff, things like this. So the thing that captured my mind last week, and I haven't really been able to stop thinking about, is non-Euclidean geometry. Okay, so this is what I do before I fall asleep. So this is a little insight into my brain, is like when I go to bed, I sit there with my phone. You know how you're not supposed to like look at your phone before you fall asleep? Well, frig that. I look at my phone until the moment my eyes close, and I'm fucking fine. Okay, I sleep great. But I like punch my mind in the face with something like this. So non-Euclidean geometry, and I'm linking to a YouTube video. This channel is Code Parade. This guy happens to be working on a game that is going to exist within a non-Euclidean world, within a hyperbolic plane specifically. So the video I'm linking to explains non-Euclidean geometry in ways with visualizations that are really easy to understand, and talks about details I'm sort of trying to parse through. And like he starts out talking about like we live in a three-dimensional world, and in a three-dimensional Euclidean geometry, like parallel lines are parallel lines, and shapes are shapes. And we start to get into, if I could skip ahead, like he says, now, if you imagine that 2D plane and you bend it into a sphere, like this grid that I found the spot in the video, this is not a ball that has something inside of it. There is no space here. So if we're imagining it's a flat plane, so if you were a being that lived in this world, you would just see flatness, right?
Yeah. So this is the stuff that I watched, and I was like, oh, I get it. No, I don't. Yes, I do. And like went back and forth a few times. I'm like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That part doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to stick with it.
But because the thing is, like, we don't exist in a world like that, so you can't really. So he's creating like ways to sort of imagine it, but the point is that, like, if you were in this different space, straight lines behave differently, and he goes onto this, Euclidean. In a Euclidean geometric world, certain shapes can tile infinitely, like squares. You can fit 4 squares to a corner. But when we get into non-Euclidean geometry, like he explains how you can't fit 4 pentagons together, no matter what you do. But if you put it onto spherical space, you can. So here's them on the surface of a sphere. You can fit 5. You can fit a lot more different things, and those are all straight lines, even when they turn into actual spheres like this. Like, those are triangles.
Yes.
And they're straight lines. So, but straight lines appear to bend to us. Okay, so that's the thing. Like, in our world, we see a line bending, but that's because the space is bent, not the shape. But then we get into hyperbolic space where everything is opposite. And he even creates this thing. His wife creates this crochet, and what she's done is she's made this out of squares, but she's crocheted so that 5 squares meet at every corner. And that's hyperbolic space. So, and it's this thing that can't exist in our reality, so it's all curly and weird because there's like, more space there. In the demo,
like, as you flatten it out, other areas wrinkle, and you just can't fix it.
Yeah. It can't exist in our world like as a flat thing, but if you were in a hyperbolic plane, it would be flat. But the thing about hyperbolic and spherical, if you go in either non-Euclidean direction, there is no such thing as parallel lines. And this is really great because, like, on a spherical world, any parallel lines will eventually cross. And in a hyperbolic space, any parallel line will diverge infinitely and never cross, but they'll never be parallel. They're only ever lined up at any point. So anyway, it's this fantastic thing. It keeps going. I think I broke the video. So, I made it. I tried to reload it too many times.
I'm going to bring this back around to guitars for a second, because this was a brain melt, but it was very interesting. I checked it out, and like, there's every now and then there was like, I didn't understand anything he just said, but I'm going to just keep watching, and then so anyway.
Yeah.
The most recent Helix update, they added something called Euclidean delay.
Okay, so this is probably the golden ratio delay, right? So no repeat ever overlaps.
Well, I have it here. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Let me just make sure this is... Oops. Am I back on?
So the golden ratio is also a way that you can design the acoustics in a room so that you never get any overlapping
So what's interesting here is there's a parameter called step time, and that's like it's 136 milliseconds, but my feedback is at 0 right now. I'm going to bring the mix up just so we can really hear what's happening. This is 0 feedback. And that's with 8 steps. Okay. Then I've got things like fill and rotate, and it gets really weird. So let me bring this down to 4 steps. We'll go up to 12 steps.
But I only heard 4 things.
I'll change the rotate to 5, let's say. We'll get messing around with some stuff here, and we'll see where we end up. Weird, right? Change the speed a little.
Oh, okay. It's like the opposite of what I thought it was. So it's not the golden. It's not that they're missing each other. It's the opposite. It's the most even division of any gap of time. So it's like precisely dividing them. It's precisely dividing them into even chunks. So if you say 12, it's going to be like exactly twelfths.
Yeah.
No matter what.
So I've increased the feedback a little here. And that's when it starts to repeat more like a delay pedal.
Oh, okay. So we can make some of that sound.
Yeah, let's mess around a little bit more. That's so crazy. This is only 2 steps, but with a fill of let's go to 16. A fill of 3. This is wild, dude. Anyway.
It kind of makes it seems like a good way to make drones and stuff happen.
I think so. Oops.
Yeah.
It's weird. I've not really messed with it very much.
Wow.
Anyway.
That's cool. All right. Well, yeah. If you're interested in mathematical mindfucks, like I am, check it out. The guy is working on a game, and there's a bunch of other videos on this channel. The game's still in development, but it's like an adventure game. A bunch of other videos on the channel where he was exploring building a 3D engine, because he has to make a new 3D engine that has these properties.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's some videos on here where he's exploring different ways of doing things. So there's like simple, impossible things that he's doing with certain rooms. So you have a square house, and you go in, and it's divided into what takes up the space of 4 quadrants, except he's made the house so it only has 3 rooms. So you go in, forward, right, and then you're out. When you should be about to head into the 4th room, you're actually back at the entrance already. And so it's like you got to watch him walk through it and go, oh, yeah. What? And like things like that, like a room where, it's a hallway and you look at it from the side and it's this long, but from the inside, it's like 30 feet long. And strange things that can't exist. So it's a crazy YouTube channel. And if you like it, I would love you to tell me in Discord so that we can have some camaraderie, because I imagine this is going to click for like 1% of people or something. So anyway, that's my thing. And that's all I have.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
I'm glad we're wrapping up, because something managed to just like fly into my nose, and I'm a buggery lil today. So let's get out of here. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. So if you like the show, please rate and review and strum that like button on YouTube.
I just realized something. You keep vamping. I got to update our patrons list because we got a new patron today.
Well, I was trying to, yeah. So, and find us on Discord. It's discord.io/tone control. That'll bring you right to us. And we have, technically 2 new patrons. That's right.
Sort of, yeah.
One was
where did I put this email?
That's fine.
Well, in that case, our other gifted patron is not in the list. So I'm going to have to update that at some point. Why can't I find this? Yeah. Keep vamping, Justin.
I don't know. Okay. So anyway, find us in Discord. It's a fun place to chat and hang out. And if you really like the show and you want to support, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/thetonecontrol, where you can donate to the show and help us keep the lights on, so to speak, and help us do fun things. There are some fun things on the way, by the way. I'll I'll spill it. Some special things that maybe patrons are going to get that they didn't even know they were going to get. So
hope you live somewhere.
hope you.
Because we're going to need that sweet address pretty soon.
Hope you live somewhere. Okay. So anyway, for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show, and we will thank you graciously and read your name out and in the thank yous at the end of absolutely every episode. But if you want to go for $2 or more per month, you will be a supporter plus, and then you get a special role in Discord where you can listen live to the show and possibly get some other secret stuff that hasn't happened yet. But those. Excuse me. I'm going to put on my patron reading voice. The patrons this week include brand new Carson Ricketts, Nick Greenwood, Timmy S.
That's your guy from yeah.
I know that.
Tim.
That's Tim.
I don't know his last name,
anyway,
but that's him.
Timmy S. I don't know his last name either. Sorry. Matthew Fenslaw, Reisenwolf, Jamie. See, I know Reisenwolf's name too, but if he didn't put it on Patreon, then I'm going to read the name he put on Patreon. You know. Jamie Evans, Jeffrey Wright, Doug King, Doug Gann, Righteous Ryan Johnson, Steve Huffman, Jonas Sabatini, Eric Gilwabaldi, Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove, OG friend of the show, Brian Rizzi, Doug Christ of 37 Effects, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, and Brian Gower and Kyle McIntyre of the Tone Jerks podcast. Thank you all ever so much for your support.
Excellent. So super quick before we take off, I want to give an extra shout out to Doug Gann, who has been gifting Patreon subscriptions to folks in the server, which is super rad. He just keeps upping his patron membership to us and says like, I'm gifting this to @so-and-so, and then blam, they're in the server and they're like, they can come hang out in the chat and stuff. So Doug, extra mega shout out. That's super kind of you. And that is a thing that we will support. If you want to be gifting subs to people to just check it out, or just a month or something like that, do it up. We'll communicate all that around. So
do it up.
Excellent. Yeah.
That's all. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.